Hello, good morning. It is Gaming Insight Daily for Tuesday, May 19th. No, is it 20th? Yeah, 20th. Sorry. Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. I'm Steve Saylor. This is your daily show of gaming news, accessibility news, or updates about my life. I am in my hotel room still in LA. I have hotel room coffee. Not the best, but it will do in a pinch. Hope you're doing well. This will be my last day in LA. Well, technically, last full day in LA. I'll be heading back home tomorrow. So I don't know whether I'll have another episode out by tomorrow morning. We'll see. Basically, because my flight's a little bit later in the day, like kind of more like after lunch. So we'll see if I can be able to get an episode out. But if not, I hope that's okay. So today, there was one story I kind of wanted to talk about that like there's not a lot of huge like breaking news essentially that I saw from kind of perusing the news this morning, but there was something that kind of has been coming up over the past couple of days, and a newer update has come out that's surrounding the world of Bungie. Now, if you know me, you know I've always had like a love for Bungie, going back from the original Halo to starting to play Destiny 2 in 2018, which is still to this day the most played game I've ever played, with over like I think it was over 500-600 hours of gameplay time in Destiny 2. And hearing about the like how much Bungie has sort of like not necessarily like you know what, I wasn't gonna hold I'm not holding back. They've suffered a lot, and a lot of it is not the employee's fault. I think that it's like a lot of every issue that's been happening has been due to leadership at Bungie that basically just either don't have a clue of what's going on, or are forcing their employees, their teams to basically just to do the work that essentially is creating a toxic environment, which leads me to my story here. This is from Insider Gaming, written by Mike Straw. A former Marathon developer says working on game was toxic. Former Bungie employee who worked on Marathon during his time at the studio says that working on the game was extremely toxic and humiliating. In a post on social media, former developer known online as Spirited, who worked on the engineering side of the game, said that he felt for those who still work on the game at the studio. Working with engineering slash marathon leadership was extremely toxic and humiliating, he said. I won't speak about the rest, but Bungie leadership needs to be gutted completely. Jensen worked on a team that developed the online services for the game. He added that the team was dissolved in layoffs that came only weeks after he had left Bungie. Prior to his time on Marathon, he worked on Destiny. Jensen didn't want to go into more detail and made sure to add that his posts were his own opinions, that that he wasn't interested in making statements that violated NDA. Marathon has been in the headlines for the wrong reasons lately, as the game was accused of stealing artwork that was used in the game. In addition to that, it's been reported that morale at Bungie is currently in a free fall, with the internal feeling around the game being at its lowest point. Everyone has the same concerns about what happens to Bungie as a studio if Marathon bombs, which is something they absolutely cannot afford, the original report reads. That report is from Paul Tassi. And I'll bring up that article as well, just to kind of like. Oh, this is actually coming from Insider Gaming, but basically, I'm going to click on this new report here. Yeah, it's from Forbes. Can I be able to actually read it? Is it behind a paywall? Hopefully not. Let's see. Yeah. So I mean, it's not really that much different. So the public explanation for the art. Oh yeah. So I won't talk about the art theft because that's been kind of like reported to death. But essentially, that does kind of like go into what I've been noticing about Bungie, in that this is not the first time that they've been accused of stealing art, and this is also not the first time that I've heard about a toxic work environment. And that's just not from like friends who've worked at Bungie, but also just from people that I've seen online, from people being laid off to basically just these reports that are essentially it's becoming extremely toxic over there. And and the thing that kind of like to take away from this, and I'm gonna come up full screen here just so I can talk about this. A lot of people would blame the employees, especially for that art for stealing art. And there was the whole thing of 4 people from the art team were following the artist that was accusing them of stealing their art for a marathon, and it's basically like a disgruntled, and they're saying it's a disgruntled employee or former employee that did this, and they're trying to like the way that they're trying to spin this is that they're throwing the employee under the bus. My 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 thinking of this is in the greater context of this whole thing is that morale and people working at Bungie now are kind of in an essence almost in kind of like a hostage situation. They have to work because the industry is extremely toxic right now in trying to be able to get work. You can get laid off in any given moment, so to be able to try to keep a job is the most important part because stability is the thing that is most on everyone's minds. And having a job, you will go through hell just to be able to make sure that you have an income, and that's how the industry is right now. And there's a lot of developers that are working on Bungie that are still passionate about the projects they're working on, still passionate about working on Destiny, still passionate about working on Marathon. Because you got to remember, like the people who work on Marathon were the same people that worked. Well, I mean, minus the layoffs and stuff. I don't know who's left of that original team, but during when Destiny 2 was still going, and they were ramping up Marathon, a lot of the team that was working on the Crucible or the PvP side of Destiny moved over to Marathon so that basically that people who picked up Marathon can at least have the same multiplayer like experience that the players have grown accustomed to on Destiny 2. So to see that, and I have played Marathon. I was able to join on the beta, so I have played it. As far as accessibility goes for Marathon, not the best, and but it's not the worst that I've seen. It's kind of more along what current Destiny 2 is. I would have hoped that they would have taken some of the maybe accessibility feedback that I know I've given to them because I did a talk at Bungie a couple years ago. And I know that there's been other disabled players that have been giving feedback to Bungie, not in a formal setting, but at least for giving feedback online. So I know that they know about accessibility, and they had an accessibility ERG, which is basically an employee-run group. It's kind of internal. That's where like the accessibility at Bungie groups, Black at Bungie, like all those kind of like those groups that essentially are unfortunately now gone, which is a shame. So I did not have the highest hopes for accessibility for Marathon, considering that the internal accessibility group was dissolved. But I'd hope for maybe a little bit more, and it doesn't look like there was a lot there. I mean, the core Destiny gameplay is still there. It is the gunplay is still there. So if you're familiar with that, if you like that, then that might be something worth checking out. But if you're hoping for any additional accessibility, at least from what I could have saw within that beta, a lot of things could change between now and then when it comes out. But because it's kind of so far along, I don't know what kind of accessibility we're going to have when the final game comes out. Which also we don't know now with these reports whether or not that Marathon's going to be delayed from its September release. And I would be willing to bet that it probably will be because right now, when you have that morale that's so low that it's basically become toxic, no one like people are dragging their feet, not on like being lazy or whatever or what have you, but like they just don't like when it gets to that point, it's like you just don't want to work. When you get to that point, you'd rather be doing anything but work. And yeah, it's their job, and you could say, oh, they signed up for this, whatever. But they didn't sign up for this. They did not sign up for this toxic work environment. They signed up to be able to work on a game or work at a studio that they love. I know so many people who've worked at Bungie over the past couple of years that have unfortunately been either laid off or left because of just the way that the working environment is there. That it was their dream studio. It was the place that they wanted to go to like when they started working in this industry. Like Bungie has such a pedigree in this industry, going back to the original Halo in 2001, even going further with Marathon, the original Marathon back in the 90s. So to see that essentially that it and there's no one else to blame on the Bungie team other than leadership. If because leadership is absolutely at fault. pushing developers into a direction where they probably had protested, or at least argued against for a long time, but they had to do it because that's what leadership wanted. And also, they're just clueless as to what is going on. They just rake in the money because it's Destiny 2, it's Marathon. But you also have to remember, like, if Marathon bombs, Sony's going to take over. That's been the whole thing this whole entire time. So Sony, like, if Marathon bombs, which has put even more immense pressure on the Bungie team, basically leadership is going to go away, and the Sony's going to take over the board, and that is all the leadership cares about. They don't care about anything else other than making sure that Sony doesn't take over. And when you do that, you are placed in a position as an employee that you just like, it is like, no wonder people are saying it's a toxic environment and morale is low. And this is not the first time that morale has been low. It's been happening for the past several years. And I feel for every single person who is still working at Bungie that it just sucks, like, to see everything that you've kind of worked for, everything that you've wanted to be able to do, and you're probably proud of the game that you produced with Marathon or even with Destiny 2, even after the final shape, that you just want to see people enjoy your game that you've helped make. But when you have all this negative sentiment towards Bungie, and rightfully deserved because of of gross incompetence with leadership, it's hard to be able to even want to come to work after that. It's like, what's the point? Like, and you're going to see probably more layoffs. You're probably going to see more people leaving Bungie. Maybe even higher up sort of managerial positions or director positions probably would leave. But anything in the executive C-suite level, they're not going to want to leave because they're making money. All they care about is making money. That's it. They don't care about the game. They don't care about the product that they're creating. All they care about is making money. And unfortunately, that is the symptom of a lot of issues with the video game industry right now, because C-suite, when all they care about, and their entire job, their entire C-suite's entire job is literally to make money for shareholders. When they're publicly traded, that is their job. For shareholders and stakeholders within the company, that is their only job, is to make them money. And they let other people basically kind of handle the creative. But when you have that separation of leadership, basically all they care about is making money, then they're going to force their creative team to be able to go in a direction that basically will try to be able to make them as much money as possible. And they say that they're for the employees, they say that they're for the game themselves, but it's just, it doesn't, and it's getting worse and worse. And right now, the only thing that will literally fix it is leadership has to go. Leadership has to go. There's no if, ands, or buts about this. If you believe that leadership is not at fault, then you haven't been paying attention. Leadership is the toxic source. It is the source of all problems with Bungie right now. And you could say that it was a disgruntled employee or former employee that stole the artwork. And yes, that potentially could be the case in some areas. But it's when you're producing that kind of, like, because you have to think about from the employee side. I'm not basically for stealing other people's artwork. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying it is potential context for this, in that probably the person who stole it was probably just under the gun, needed artwork right away, and didn't and just didn't care about the consequences, and they just needed to be able to hit a deadline. Otherwise, they would would have fallen behind, and leadership would have got involved, and they were probably fearful for their job. And I mean, yeah, granted, obviously, you being fired for stealing is definitely would have been the outcome regardless, if you didn't or not. But that's how much pressure they're put under. It's the deadlines. It's basically going back to originally with the problem with the industry, like years and years ago, and it's still the same to this day. Is crunch. Crunch is such a huge part of this industry still, to the point where it's even worse because there's hiring freezes. There's people that basically are not allowed to be able to backfill any of the positions that the people that got laid off had left behind. So now other people have having to be able to pick up like 3-4 different job descriptions to add on to their own job description. So everyone is just kind of doing multiple jobs at once. And when you're doing multiple jobs at once, you're working 60, 70, 80 plus hours a week. just to try to be able to keep up, and you can't. And it's gonna take its toll. It's inevitable. Burnout's gonna happen, and then toxicity's gonna happen. Morale's gonna be low to the point where it's like things are going to crash. Right now, Bungie is built on a deck of cards, and the people who are building it is the toxic leadership, and unfortunately, the cards are the ones that are getting blamed for it. When the house of cards falls at Bungie, the leadership is going to say, "Well, it's not our fault. We just didn't have the right team," and that's bullshit. I know that there are passionate people working at Bungie. I know that for a fact. I know that they're desperately trying to be able to make Marathon and Destiny the best it can be, and it's unfortunate that we're kind of seeing that hard work being trampled on with all this negative news that is coming out, the art theft, the toxicity, where basically all their hard work is being pushed aside because of stupid stuff like this, and it's all leadership's fault. So, hope you're okay with that little rant today. I was just I saw that, I was thinking about it this morning. I was even listening to Kind of Funny Games Daily about it, and it was just, it bothered me. It bothered me so much because I want to see Bungie do well. I even want to see Bungie even do well with accessibility. It's, again, I have such a huge passion for Destiny or for Bungie because of Halo and Destiny. It's what got me through the pandemic, was playing Destiny 2 with my best friend T and all our friends. It's literally what got me started in streaming, and to see the studio end up like this is just horrific. And so, anyway, what do you think? I would love to be able to hear your comments in the comment section down below. What do you think is the future of Bungie going to be like? Is Marathon going to be delayed? What does this has effect on Destiny? I'd love to be able to hear all your thoughts in the comment section down below. All right, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Take care. Have yourself a great day. And hopefully I should see you all tomorrow. If not, Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.